Let's go to the UK now. Britain's Labor government there has struck a new agreement with the European Union aimed at improving relationships beyond Brexit, particularly in relation to trade, security and student mobility. PM Keir Starmer has insisted the deal respects the spirit of Brexit while delivering practical benefits. Critics, though, Conservative Party MPs, their leader, Nigel Farage and others, argue it marks a quiet retreat from Brexit itself. Some say it's a necessary reset. Others say it's a betrayal. Join me now to unpack it all, Sky News contributor Ayaan Hirsi Ali. Ayaan, welcome to the show. Is this a wind back of Brexit or a pragmatic adjustment?
Well, Peter, lovely to see you. It's, of course, no secret that Keir Starmer was ferocious Remainer when he was an MP. But in the lead up to his election campaign, he had promised to respect the Brexit outcome. And this is a wind back, yes, especially when it comes to migration, to borders, to bureaucracy, to regulation. He's handing everything back to the EU. And that means the EU will now have the last word on those issues. And that is, of course, very upsetting for those people who campaigned for Brexit.
And of course, there were multiple elections on the issue and referendums on the issue of Brexit, and all of them came out in favour of walking away from the EU, of becoming a sovereign country. Already we can see Labor's on the nose, the Tories are struggling, Reform is in the ascendancy, and the very issues that Starmer has handed back to the European Union are the very issues where Nigel Farage is gaining ground. So what's this going to mean, do you think, for domestic politics in the UK?
Well, the people who are looking at this and saying it's a betrayal and it's going to really make tensions worse, especially on the issues of immigration, he's using now words like irregular migration, and that's a substitute for the word alien immigration. Last time you and I talked about how Britain was a tinderbox and that the issue of immigration really must be addressed. And this seems to me as if it is an excuse not to address it, but to hand it back to the EU. Why did Britain, one of the reasons Britain left the EU was so that they could have the last word over their own rules, their own laws, and their own borders. And this, say, Brexit campaigners, betrays all of that.
So do you think this will, end up putting Nigel Farage in Downing Street?
I think Nigel Farage, the Reform Party, and other challengers, but also Kemi Badenoch came out saying, we have now become rule takers. So there is a very large and overwhelming majority that doesn't want to go back to the EU. The question then is, we're a few years away from the election in Britain. Will the Conservatives and Nigel Farage's Reform Party work together to remove Keir Starmer from office? That's the question for the British electorate.
Yes, it'll be very interesting. Can they form a coalition where we are failing here in Australia? Ayaan Hirsi Ali, thank you.